Welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope you all had an amazing week. My name is Jordan Davidson, and this is another edition of Behind the Bench. This week, the Mississauga Steelheads once again did the Eastern road trip. They played in Ottawa on Friday. They played in Kingston on Saturday. I joined them for the Kingston game. Let's get this two-game recap started. No video from Friday, so right into the recap. Ryerson Leanders was the starting goalie for the Steelheads, and for the Ottawa 67s, it was Max Donoso. The puck dropped in Ottawa, and this wild game got underway. Ottawa gets in the board first, as they do, being a first-place team and all. Cam Tolnay with the steal in our end, and some nifty moves, finishing with a backhand to get it past Ryerson Leanders to open the scoring. Cam Tolnay with the unassisted goal, and Ottawa is up 1-0. That first goal was at the 4:05 mark. A few minutes later, at the 6:07 mark, it is Caden Kelly making it 2-0, as he takes a cross-ice pass from Jack MATIE and fools Ryerson Leanders badly, making it 2-0. So Caden Kelly with the goal, Jack MATIE and Cooper Foster with the assists. James Richmond did not like the look of that goal, so he decides to make the goalie change right after the second goal. Ryerson Leanders had faced 4 shots at that point and stopped just 2 of them. So Alessio Bellieri would finish this game in net for the Steelheads, 2-0 Ottawa. The goalie change may have sparked the Steelheads a little bit, as Justin Dizzotti puts a beautiful screen on Max Donoso, and as he's doing that, Kasper Larsson fires a beautiful point shot that beats Donoso and gets the Steelheads on the board. Initially, Adam Zidlichki was credited with an assist, but it seems that that's been taken away, so right now it reads as an unassisted goal by Kasper Larsson. So that's what I'm going to call it. Kasper Larsson unassisted makes it 2-1. Not long after Kasper Larsson's goal, the Mississauga Steelheads get a good chance to tie the game, as Henry Muse brings James Hardy down from behind, and Hardy is awarded a penalty shot for the 3rd time this season. He's missed on both of them so far. So would the 3rd time be the charm? Unfortunately not. Donoso was again able to make the stop on James Hardy, and Ottawa remains ahead for now. Not long after, at the 8:10 mark, Angus MacDonnell found a way to tie it. Just a little bit of a backhand, kind of an excuse-me backhand, getting it towards the net, and as Angus MacDonnell tends to do, that puck goes in, so Angus MacDonnell scores his 26th. Porter Martone, his former Sarnia teammate and current Steelhead teammate, gets the assist, and we've got a 2-2 game all of a sudden. The Ottawa 67s, however, are the Ottawa 67s, and at the 11:56 mark, they would take another lead. Pavel Minchikov with a point shot that was tipped in front by Brady Stonehouse, so it is Brady Stonehouse's goal. Pavel Minchikov with the assist, and Anthony Costantini with the second assist. Ottawa retakes the lead. It is 3-2 at that point, but we're not quite done. 16:54 mark, Ottawa 67s take a slashing call courtesy of Gavin Ewells, and while the Steelheads are on that power play, some beautiful passing in the Ottawa zone culminates in a Porter Martone goal, a very short-range one from right in front of the net. Porter Martone ties the game at 3, give the assist to Luke Misa and James Hardy, and by the way, for James Hardy, that is career point number 235, which gives him the all-time franchise mark for the Mississauga Steelheads / Mississauga St. Michael's Majors / Toronto St. Michael's Majors franchise. James Hardy is your all-time leader for the franchise since it began. Very fitting, because he got his first OHL point in the same building in 2018. But anyway, I'm rambling. Martone from Misa and Hardy. We're tied at 3-3, and that is your score after 1. That is a crazy first period. After the Steelheads surge in the first period following their goalie pull, the Ottawa 67s would also pull their goalie. Max Donoso was done after 1 period. Colin McKenzie would finish the game in net for the 67s. Second period now, and unfortunately that tying goal would be about the last thing that goes the Steelheads' way in this one. The second period looks like this. I'm going to speed it up because, if I break down every single one of these goals, it's going to get long and tedious. So here we go. So yeah, that was your second period. Not the finest hour for the Steelheads. They kind of fell apart in that period. Before the period was over, Thomas Sermon would instigate a fight with Lucas Karmiris. They'd go to the box, but Thomas Sermon would get the extra for the instigator as well. I saw after the game that Thomas Sermon actually got a suspension as well, so maybe he's been fighting a bit too much. But yeah, 9-3 Ottawa is your score after 2. Just not our best game, guys. Now, as can happen in a game that is this out of hand, it can get a little chippy, as happened at the 6:21 mark of the third period. Let me see if I can read off all these penalties here. Finn Harding got a roughing minor, Caden Kelly got a double minor for interference and slashing, and 10-minute misconducts were handed out to the following players: Angus McDonnell, Porter Martone for the Steelheads, and for the 67s, Gavin Ewells and Henry Muse. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, not so much fun for the refs, but yeah, it was pretty much a penalty box party at that point. But yeah, just to wrap this one up quickly, Jack MATIE got an unassisted goal to make it 10-3. Stevie Lescovar and Matthew Mayacha engaged in a little bit of roughing as well. They got 10-minute misconducts as well. I guess the refs are pretty much done with it in a 10-3 game. 10-3 would end up being the final for the Ottawa 67s. No video, so the 3 stars are as follows. I'm not even going to try to memorize their stats because it seemed like everyone on the 67s had something. So the 3rd star was Cameron Tolnay, 2nd star was Jack Beck, and the 1st star was another Jack MATIE. So the bad news was that game happened. The good news was the next day they got to face a team they had a lot of success against this season, the Kingston Frontenacs, and I got to join them for this one. Here is my pregame from Kingston. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back to the scene of the crime from where I showed you my very first regular season Steelheads game on this channel, which was on opening night last season. We are back at Leon Center, home of the Kingston Frontenacs. Let's walk around. Apparently it's country night tonight, so be prepared to see lots of cowboy hats inside. Cookies? Does Bryce Cook have a business he hasn't told me about? Ah, way to tease me. Oh well, maybe when Bryce's season is over, he'll be back. Aw man, wish I could park right here like a big shot, not have to pay $7.50 like I just did. But yeah, bus is here, means we got a game. Hopefully it's a better game than last night. Let's beat some Frontenacs. Looking at the box score right now of that opening night game I just talked about, the very first regular season game I did on this channel, which was quite a memory. Let's see, who played their first game that day? Kai Schwint, who scored his first goal. I kind of went crazy when that happened. Casper Larson also played his first OHL game that night. He had a couple assists. Luke Misa got his first assist on Kai Schwint's goal. Xander Vecchia also played his first game that night. Steelheads that are no longer on the team, Owen Beck, Zach Lavoie also played their first OHL games. Evan Brand played his first game as a Steelhead and then got kicked out 4 seconds into the game, playing against his former team too. Adam Barkley, that's a name we haven't heard in a while. He played his first game that night too. Joe Ranger got the start. It was a 7-2 win. Owen Beck also got his first goal in that game. So yeah, quite the memorable game. I haven't watched that video in a while. Maybe I'll do a reaction to it or something like that. That might be fun. Let me know if you guys want to see that. I can't remember if I showed you this when I was here last year, but this is Fort Frontenac. This is an actual fort that was built in the 1600s and fell during the 7 Years' War, which I believe was in 1758 is when that battle happened. Yep, cheat sheet right over here. But yeah, it was rebuilt. The rebuilt Fort Frontenac is what you see across the street over there, but this rubble right here is the actual fort that fell in the war. So that's pretty cool, and give you an idea, the arena is like right here too, so that's how close it is. So yeah, a little bit of history outside. Why'd you have to go and think you could beat the Steelheads? I gotta tell you, without Shane Wright, your playoff hopes are real dead. Here we go! Got our Steelheads on this side. Xander is saying hi to the kids that are sitting on the bench there, making some memories. James Hardy, now officially the all-time points leader of the Steelheads / Mississauga Majors / Toronto Majors franchise. It's still time for some fancy warm-up moves. What's up, Bear? After his short start the previous night in Ottawa, Ryerson Leanders would get another chance to start in net for the Steelheads. For the Kingston Frontenacs, it would be Ivan Jigalov. The puck dropped, we got underway, and it would not take long for something to happen. So let's see, the opening faceoff happens. Kingston wins it initially. Hardy gets a steal, passes to Porter Martone. He shoots, scores. And that's how long it took. 8 seconds into the game, Porter Martone makes it 1-0 Steelheads. James Hardy with the assist after he got the steal. and it's 1-0 Steelheads. Again, just 8 seconds into the game. Not long after the quick goal, Luke Misa would take a double minor for high sticking. This was at the 2:06 mark, but the Steelheads would kill it off. It was one of the better kills I've seen this season. It seemed like they were always in control. Steelheads would make it 2-0 at the 12:25 mark of the first period. Adam Zidlichki with a backhander that beats Ivan Jigolov to make it 2-0. Zidlichki with the goal, Luke Misa and Parker Von Richter with the assists. 2-0 Steelheads in the first. Steelheads would make it 3-0 before the end of the period. Xander Vecchio with the steal in the Kingston zone, and then a bullet shot which would go off the post and in, beating Ivan Jigolov. Xander Vecchio with the unassisted goal to make it 3-0. That is your score after one. Kingston and Ottawa, night and day, guys. 3-0 Steelheads after one. Well, hey, facing Ottawa and facing Kingston are like night and day. 3 goals, including probably the fastest goal of our season, if not ever. 8 seconds in. Also coming off a big double minor, so 3-0 after one, which is pretty amazing. I believe winning tonight brings us very close to clinching, so let's hang on and maybe clinch next week. We've seen a lot of goalie changes up to this point this week, and we would end up seeing one more prior to the second period. Ivan Jigolov's night was done after one. Mason Vicari would take over in the second for Kingston. Second period now, and the Steelheads keep on going. At the 10:36 mark, James Hardy finds Porter Martone in front of the net, and Porter Martone has just enough space to tip it in for his second goal of the game. Martone with the goal, James Hardy with the assist, and the second assist to Dylan Gordon. It's 4-0 Steelheads. It was a very dominant second period for the Steelheads. 15-3 were the shots in favor of them. By comparison, the first period was 9-7 for the Steelheads, so not quite as dominant. But unfortunately, one of those 3 shots would finally get Kingston on the board after a steal and some nifty passing. Nathan Poole would beat Ryerson Leaders for the first time in this game. Nathan Poole with the goal gave the assist to Christopher Thibodeau and Alec Boulanger. Kingston is on the board. It's 4-1, and that is your score after 2. Doggo! Yeah. Oh, the dog just wants to play with them. Play with the puck. Play with the puck. How about next time, instead of closer to the center, you just let the dog pick it? The third period would be a bit of a stronger period for the Frontenacs. They would actually lead the shots 13-9. There'd also be a little bit of rough stuff, tamer compared to the previous night, but it would see Porter Martone go off for tripping and Gage Hayes go off for roughing following the trip. Linda Samster would also get a minor a few minutes later for unsportsmanlike conduct. Gage Hayes eventually would get sent off with a 10-minute misconduct for continued pursuit of the issue as well. So a lot of fun like that. It was finally the 13:07 mark when Owen Outwater won a face-off in our zone, and Ethan Miedema sniped the goal home to make it 4-2 for the Steelheads. So again, that is Miedema from Outwater. 4-2 is your score. Either way, though, the Steelheads would bend and not break. They would get the empty netter to make it 5-2. Porter Martone with his third goal of the game to complete his first OHL hat-trick. So an exciting time for that young man. I'm looking at the assists right now. Right now, they say from Angus McDonnell and Chaz Sharp. Although I think it's pretty clear in the video clip that James Hardy passed that to Porter Martone to give him that chance at the hat trick. So I think that's wrong, but I got to go with what the official score sheet says. So the official assists are Angus McDonnell and Chaz Sharp, but I think it's wrong. Either way, that made it 5-2, and 5-2 Steelheads was your final. Steelheads get a big win in Kingston. They sweep the season series with Kingston, and they are just one win away from clinching now. Here are the 3 stars and my post game from Kingston.
Tonight's relevant life 3 stars of the game, your life, your plan. The 3rd star of the game from Kingston, number 15, Ethan Miedema.
Okay.
The 2nd star of the game from Mississauga, number 14, James Hardy. And the 1st star of the game from Mississauga, number 94, Porter Martone.
Getting an interview over there.
Thank you for coming to tonight's game. Get home safely. And we look.
Bus was a little late getting into position there, but it's here.
My pizza. Let's go, cowboy.
Uh-oh. He's actually serious.
Let's go.
This league was nice for you boys. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hey. You did good too, Rye. It's a fan. Yeah.
Can you take our picture?
Okay, hang on. Okay, I got it. Everybody good looking?
Yes, sir! Yes,
Yeah. I'm not sure if you were filming any of them, but yeah. See you soon, buddy. Yeah.
We're ready.
Good night, guys. That was really all they wanted. Wow. You go, Steve. Yeah. See you, buds. Uh-oh, Jared's trapped with the Zamboni. There you go. Night. Much better. Yep. See Angus.
G, what's up?
What's up, buddy? Oh, yeah. Yeah, buddy. Congrats. Yeah. See you, buddy. Safe travels. Oh, dog.
See you. Bye, guys.
Whew. Big win for the boys in Kingston, snapping that losing streak. It's gotten a little bit colder outside. It was actually not bad before we went inside. But yeah, I'm going to get going home. I would normally get home at about 2 o'clock, but because of the time change, I'm actually getting home around 3. So yeah, losing an hour. That's fun, eh? But yeah, until next week, guys.
Now, before I go, this topic was kind of inspired by a tweet I saw towards the Steelheads Twitter on Friday night when the Steelheads were getting pounded by Ottawa. Simple tweet, 4 words, and it was just someone saying, Richmond needs to go. Now, I'm not going to go too far into whether I agree with that specifically. I think most Steelheads fans do not agree with that. I think we've done pretty well for, going into the season. We had high expectations and it ended up being a rebuilding season, but since we actually kick-started the rebuild, it's actually been pretty good. So I think he's done a good job, and I think it was a good idea to accelerate the future once we found out that this season was probably not going to be our championship season. Maybe make it a little easier for 2024 or 2025 to be our championship season. So I'm not going to get into whether I agree with that tweet or not, because that tweet's just cuckoo bananas. But I'm going to get into the broader topic of, the fan mentality. That, once a team has their worst game or their worst period, or depending on what sport you're watching, their worst inning, once they have their worst whatever, that's who they really are. It's like clockwork, a pitcher gives up 6 runs or a goalie gives up 6 goals, and it doesn't matter how well they've done before then. They could have had a string of 1 run, 2 run for the past month or so, but once they give up that 6 runs, it's like, don't put them in again, because that's going to happen again. It's worse with relief pitchers in baseball, because people think relief pitchers are supposed to be untouchable, whether it's a middle reliever or a closer or whatever. They think they're just not supposed to give up runs, but no relief pitcher goes through a whole season without giving up a few runs. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't matter if they've gone through the whole season with a 2 or 3 ERA, and by the way, I've had people try to argue with me that, a 3 ERA for a closer means they give up 3 runs every game, which is not true. ERA is a 9-inning average, which for a relief pitcher means they maybe give up a run once every 3 games, something like that. But I digress. They could be having a great season, but just because you saw them give up a run and lose a game once, you all of a sudden think they're terrible. I mean, it doesn't matter what sport you're watching. If you want to make a player look bad, you could probably find a box score that makes them look bad. Like, you could look up a game where James Hardy didn't have any points and be like, you see? But that doesn't mean anything. I mean, maybe that's what the NHL teams did before the draft, but yeah, it doesn't mean anything. Like, I can only imagine if Twitter was around during Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hit streak in 1941. Like, people be watching that 57th game where he finally went hitless and be like, you see, I told you he sucks. Like, I don't know, people convince themselves in their minds that, when something bad happens once or something embarrassing happens once, then it happens all the time. Like, Derek Fisher is long gone from the Blue Jays, but people still talk about him getting hit in the face with a fly ball. Like it happened every week, and it happened once. Talking about the Blue Jays again, that big playoff meltdown last year, like, people criticized John Schneider because he had the wrong pitchers in the game. He didn't have the wrong pitchers in the game. Like, the pitchers he had in the game all had good seasons. They just had bad games at that particular time, like the worst possible time, but that's what happened. Like, and Bo Bichette colliding with George Springer is just a freak thing that happened. It's not an indictment of anyone's overall skill, it's just a lot of bad luck. Like, it's not anyone's fault, it's just, it happened. So I guess the whole point of this is, players are who they are, teams are who they are, and one underachieving performance or one overachieving performance too doesn't change that. Like, don't lose sight of who they are just because one game happened. In any case, it is March break next week, so for the first and only time this regular season, I will have 4 games to recap next week. Starting Tuesday, March 14th, when the Steelheads visit Peterborough, we get to see Owen Beck for the first time, and Jack, Justin, and Stevie get to visit their old stomping grounds for the first time. That is Tuesday. Wednesday, March 15th, the Steelheads are back home facing the Barrie Colts. Another home game on Friday, March 17th, that is against the Erie Otters, and the Steelheads close their week Sunday, March 19th, with a Sunday evening game at the Oshawa Generals. That's our week. Tuesday at Peterborough, Wednesday home to Barrie, Friday home to Erie, Sunday at Oshawa, and it's March break. That means I'm off work. That means I'll be at all 4 games next week, so might be a bit of a longer video. Prepare for that. It's all good. Also want to give you guys a little bit of an update on my Quebec League team, the Gatineau Olympique, who have now won 18 straight games, including 6 since the game I went to, and including the game I went to. So I think I picked the right team to be a fan of in that league, guys. This week they played back-to-back home games against the Chicoutimi Saguenayans, including a 4-3 overtime win on Friday, which was televised live on TSN. Zach Dean was the overtime winner in that one. They also reached Sherbrooke 5-2 on Sunday, so had a pretty good week. This week they got Drummondville coming up on Wednesday and a home-and-home on Friday and Sunday against the defending Q champions, the Shawinigan Cataracts. So big week coming up for them as well. Once again, I end by asking the OHL and CHL please allow the fair use of your professional and amateur footage, help the small media, so they can help you. Until next time, you can find me behind the bench and only the bench. This is Jordan signing off. Have a great one, guys. Bye-bye.